Carrasco, and thank you for reading.
Manny Pacquiao, the gold, I don't think there will be a problem for Manny.
Has its share of great fights. But every once in a while, human mind can also be controlled and muscle.
Only here on Para sa Bayan.
That's the opening bell for Round by Round presented by Eastern Communications. Mabuhay Pilipinas, welcome world. I'm Nisi Casiano.
And I'm Ryan Sangalia. Boyd Sison joins us later on in the show.
Over the weekend, two boxers with Filipino heritage were successful in their respective bouts in the United States. Super bantamweight Demler DJ Zamora III scored a third-round TKO win over Brandon Trout in Cayenne, Wyoming. Meanwhile, Angel Barrientos, who is also a super bantamweight, won over Victor Torres via unanimous decision on PBC's card on FS1. Ryan, these two boxers seem to be under the radar of most Filipino boxing fans. Can you tell us more about these two fighters and their backgrounds?
Well, I'll tell you what, I caught the Angel Barrientos fight last night on FS1. And, Barrientos, his twin brother is also a professional, Chavez Barrientos. They're both Filipino Mexican from Hawaii, 19 years old. And, Barrientos looked very good compared to the last time we had seen him on American TV. I'm talking about last December when he was knocked out in 4 rounds by Trevon Lawson, also on the FS1 card. So, he's 5'11" at 122 pounds. So he's got a lot of length, but he likes to get in there and fight. This time he got in there and fought a little bit against Torres in a unanimous decision win, but he was able to not go straight back and kind of, use his angles, turn, spin out instead of, getting hit going backwards, which is what happened in Lawson. And then, Zamora, he's another guy, like under the radar, Filipino American. I had not really seen much of him, but apparently he's based in Las Vegas. He's 6-0, 5 knockouts. And I'm excited to see him when he steps up and fights on television, but he's not yet fought a fighter with a winning record. So hard to tell at this early stage.
Both men have less than 10 fights under their belts. Barrientos is 6-1. Is he the type of boxer that you can say who's a blue chip prospect, especially the super bantamweight division has a good roster of talent like Brandon Figueroa, Stephen Fulton in the same weight class. You have Filipino boxers like Gio Santissima and Mike Plania, as well as Marlon Tapales.
Yeah, Barrientos is a very skilled boxer. I think at age 19, he has to find who he is as a fighter as well. But he's 5'11" at 119 pounds. That's almost Diego Corrales type of. Actually, he's probably the same height as Diego Corrales at a lower weight. So fighters are going to have a lot of trouble getting inside on him if he decides to use his jab. And the good thing for him is he has a great jab. So he's a young guy. We're going to see how he develops. But the one thing that concerns me a little bit, he's 5'11", but he really likes to fight inside, kind of like Corrales. It seems to be that he has an internal struggle to use those innate abilities and advantages that he has.
Ryan, Zamora just already broke into the U.S. market, and I know Zamora won against a former MMA fighter in Brandon Trout. Do you think it just affirms? Do you think it's enough to affirm that PBC made the right investment in him?
It's hard to tell so far, but the one thing about him is that he's undefeated. He's young. You don't have to rush someone like him at age 18 years old. So it doesn't appear that he has a deep amateur background. So, obviously at age 18, he's not someone who's been fighting for, years on the elite, amateur scene. So we'll see what happens. I've not yet seen him on television. He's still fighting at the 4-round level, but someone to monitor. And I'm glad to see that PBC is investing in Filipino and Filipino American talent because they have all the TV dates. it seems, on Fox Sports. They have Showtime. They have PBC on Fox. So hopefully this is someone that we can follow his career.
Last Sunday, Manny Pacquiao announced that he's going to run for president of the Philippines in the coming elections in May 2022. In line with this, Ryan and I will go through a list of athletes who succeeded as politicians. First on the list is David Bing, a basketball player who turned out a mayor of Detroit.
Yes, Dave Bing, he was able to parlay his success as a Detroit Piston into a career in politics. He was a 7-time NBA All-Star. He was an All-Star Game MVP. A popular player out of Detroit.
Second on the list is Kevin Johnson, a mayor of Sacramento. I believe he got drafted in 1987 by the Cleveland Cavaliers and also played for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, that's where he really had a success with the Phoenix Suns on that team with Charles Barkley and Dan Marley. They went to the NBA Finals, but they ran into this guy named Michael Jordan, and it didn't work out for them.
Third on the list is Alexis Arguelle, a mayor of Nicaragua.
Yes, El Flaco Explosivo, great fighter, Hall of Famer. Had the fight of the 80s, I think, with Aaron Pryor. He fought a couple of Filipinos like Andy Ganigan.
Yeah, and he also fought Ray Mancini in 1981, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 14th round knockout.
Yeah. Next on the list is Steve Largent, a football player. He won a seat in the Congress in the 1st District of Oklahoma. Next on the list is Arcelino Popo Freitas, a boxer who turned to be a Secretary of Sports in Salvador, Brazil.
Oh, yeah. Arcelino Popo Freitas, very explosive right-hand puncher, had great wars with Diego Corrales, Joel Casimiro, who I still think beat Freitas, but they gave Freitas the decision. And reigned at 130 and 135 pounds.
Next on the list is Jessie, the Body Ventura, a governor of Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. And also a strong advocate for workers' unions. I remember he came back as the special enforcer on one of the WWF pay-per-views. And like, I don't need Vince McMahon. I'm the governor of Minnesota. I'm like, yeah, you sure are.
And everyone's favorite governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah. The governor right there. It's funny because we just had a recall election in California, and that's how Schwarzenegger entered office.
Next on the list is Bill Bradley, a basketball player who got elected as U.S. Senator.
Oh, yeah. 2-time NBA champion from the Knicks back when, the Knicks used to win games. And he was my senator growing up in New Jersey.
And last but not least, Harry Reid, a boxing judge who got elected as U.S. Senate Majority Leader.
Oh, yeah. It's Harry Reid, very powerful man during his time in politics. I remember him and John McCain were supposed to, they were pushing a bill that would overhaul like the whole boxing commission system in America, but fortunately it didn't go anywhere.
It's time for our Eastern Communications Fearless Fighter of the Day. Ryan, will you do the honors to introduce our Fearless Fighter of the Day?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to go with 2 because I saw a really excellent fight a few nights ago. And both of these fighters, there was a winner and a loser, but this was the kind of fight where there really were no losers in the eyes of the fans, at least. I'm going to go with Malik Montgomery and Alim Jumakunov, who last Sunday had an extraordinary fight on PBC on FS1. It was not a high-profile fight. It wasn't on Showtime. It wasn't on ESPN. It was at a weird hour on Sunday night, but they just gave it all. Montgomery, who was undefeated at 11-0, 10 knockouts, he got the decision, but both men fought, an incredible fight and threw over 1,800 punches combined. So I'm going to go with both of them as my fearless fighters.
And thank you, Ryan. And that's our Fearless Fighters of the Day, presented by Eastern Communications. Romero Duno will be back in action on Friday, September 24 against Jonathan Perez of Colombia, who has a 38-27 record with 30 wins by way of knockout. Ryan, what's in it for Duno in this fight?
Well, it's been a long time. It feels like a long time since boxing fans have seen him. He had that first round knockout loss to Ryan Garcia, and it's very important to see how a fighter comes back from a defeat like that. So I'm probably going to be there in Miami because I'll literally watch any boxing card. So it's going to be exciting to see what Romero Duno has now that he has a new trainer.
Ryan will get to sit down and talk to Romero Duno on Friday, so catch that interview only here on Round by Round. For our next segment, we turn it over to Boyet Season for the third installment of the history of celebrity boxing.
Hello mga ka-rounder! Kamusta na po kayo? Okay, meron pa pala akong pahabol na kwento tungkol kay Muhammad Ali at kay Wilt Chamberlain. Alam nyo ba noong 1971, lumaban itong si Wilt Chamberlain sa isang pamosong singer. Teka. Ganito yan. Meron isang tanyag na show sa Amerika na nung mga panahon na yon ay napapanood din dito sa Pilipinas. Ang titulo po nito ay ang Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In na pinagbibinahan ng mga sikat na komedyante na sina Dan Rowan at Dick Martin. Isipin niyo lang parang ganito. Dolphy and Panchito sa programang Buhay Artista. Di ba? Ganun ang peg. Kung buhay na kayo nun. Siyempre, para sa inyo mga millennials, tanungin niyo mga lolo nyo, mga tita nyo, mga tito-tita nyo. Okay? Sige, okay. Ngayon, itong programa nito, mga kaibigan, ay mayroong sketch noong 1971 dubbed as, or may titulo na, The Fight of the Century. Where the... yung maglalaban dalawa sa pinakataniyag na tao sa mundo nung panahon na yun. One of them was American singer, dancer, actor, vaudevillain, and comedian Sammy Davis Jr. Yes, Mr. Bojangles himself, who plays the role of the boxer with the name Jolton Jr. Davis. At si NBA star naman, Wilt Chamberlain, played the role of a guy with the name of Tiny Irish Bob Murphy. Ngayon, sa skit na ito, si Davis ay agad nagre-reklamo and eventually takes issue with both the descriptors, namely Tiny and Irish. Alam niyo ibig sabihin ng slang na Irish? May ibig sabihin yun Hanapin nyo, Google nyo. Alam nyo, sabi ni Davis sa laki ba naman yan? Tiny? Irish pa. Bakit? Ba't Tiny Irish? Laki-laki niyan. Anyway, si Davis, mga kaibigan, ay may height na 5 feet 5 inches lamang. At ito ay mas naging katawa-tawa dahil he was up against Chamberlain who had a height of 7 feet 1 inch as far as height is concerned, weighed 275 pounds. At idagdag nyo pa na ang wingspan ni Chamberlain was a whopping 7 feet 8 inches. So, di ba? Tiny Irish nga daw. Now, the fight scene, which has been viewed for more than 24 million times since being uploaded to YouTube, is truly one of the most hilarious physical comedy routines of that time. Between 1968 and 1973, Davis was a frequent guest on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In and often used his size to great effect on screen. Now, Chamberlain has also appeared several times on the show, but unlike Davis, Chamberlain only had a few acting credits to his lifetime. Two of those well-known being the Rowan and Martin Laugh-In sketch that I just mentioned to you, and the 1984 film Conan the Destroyer, where he starred with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Wilt did not say, "I'll be back," as far as the movies were concerned. Okay, ito naman. Bago yung Floyd Mayweather versus Conor Mcgregor na kung saan isang boxer ay lumaban sa isang wrestler. Alam niyo ba na lumaban si Muhammad Ali sa isang wrestler na si Antonio the Pelican Inoki? Interesting, isn't it? Now, the idea of fighting Japanese wrestler Antonio Inoki supposedly happened about 1975 in April when Ali was introduced to Ichiro Yada, the president of the Japanese Amateur Wrestling Association. Sa isang reception doon sa US, ang kwento daw ng mga naroon ay mayabang na sinabi ni Ali kay Mr. Yada na, "Is there any oriental fighter who will challenge me? I'll give you $1 million if he wins." Now, the staged managed remark suddenly was headline news in Japan. Now, top-ranked boxing promoter Bob Arum, yes, you know him. You know Bob Arum, and wrestling impresario Vince McMahon Sr., kilala nyo rin yan, put the deal together. Now, Inoki accepted the challenge and eventually Ali accepted the $6 million final offer from Inoki's backers. Now, in March 1976, the fight was made. The venue? Budokan Hall in Tokyo. The date? The 26th of June, the year 1976. Now, 8 months after winning his final fight against Joe Frazier in the Thrill of Manila in October 1975, Ali has been busy boxing lesser-known opponents. Kailangan kasi ni Ali, after the Frazier fight, na parati siyang nasa public eye, kaya parati siyang laman ng balita. So, sabi niya, at the age of 33, sabi niya, okay, tinusiguro yung huling taon ko, tapos magre-retiro na ako. Now, usap, revision ng rules, palit na palit yung rules, mga kaibigan. Pero ito, yung mga rule changes nila affected Antonio Inoki more than Ali. Tapos na nakalagay doon, bawal sumipa, kicking is prohibited and would be declared a foul unless the person delivering the blow was kneeling, squatting, or operating down on the canvas. So nakailata. Now, takedowns were allowed, but since but nung panahon na yon, nung mahawak si Ali sa ropes, there had to be a break. So kailangan paghiwalayin sila. Leg holds were prohibited, leg sweeps, leg whips, and leg pulls were allowed only up to the shins, no? Hanggang sa shins lamang, sa ibabaw or the top side of the foot. The palm or heel strikes by Inoki were okay, but not below the belt, the Adam's apple, or the groin. Now, blows of many other parts of the body were prohibited, and neither fighter could use the knee or the elbow. Now, other than the first 14 seconds of the first round, when Inoki ran across the ring and tried to land a flying kick on Ali, the Pelican spent the rest of the match on his backside, kicking furiously at Ali as an attempt to corner him. Now, Ali spent most of the match taunting Inoki, challenging him to stand up and fight like a man. Alam nyo, the fight, such as it was scored a draw. Inoki had been 3 points up in the bout, but well, conveniently, he was adjudged fouls as well. 3 fouls. So, di ba? Parang na-wipe out lang yung lamang niya na 3 points. In theory, the tie, the tie, it was ruled a draw. The theory was no one had lost face, walang napahiya, especially as Inoki could claim that he had won it fair and square had it not been for the penalties, whereas Ali could defend himself by saying his opponent had cheated. Now, the two fighters, of course, could take consolation in the fact now that they were both several millions of dollars richer. Now, the Muhammad Ali versus Antonio Inoki fight certainly did not live up to the hype, but it opened people's eyes to the possibility of uniting fighting styles. No? Yung pag-unite ng mga estilo ng paglalaban, kasi may karate, may judo, di ba? May boxing. So, ngayon, sabi nila, uy, alam mo yung laban pala na yun, could have really become the cursor or the start of what we now know as mixed martial arts. Ano sa palagay nyo, mga ka-rounder? Send us your comments and or suggestions to our Facebook page. That's Round by Round All Boxing. And keep on watching our Facebook page and our YouTube channel as well.
And that's the final bell for today's episode of Round by Round, presented by Eastern Communications. I'm Nisi Casiano.
And I'm Ryan Sangalia. We're on Facebook at 9 p.m. Monday through Friday and on our YouTube channel right after. So like, follow, share, and subscribe now.
Boyet Season, Dennis Principe, and yours truly are working the fights for you tomorrow. So catch us on the next Round by Round. All boxing, all Filipino, all the time. See you.